What's going on, Schmidt heads? Welcome back to another week of Undercover Picks. This is week number 10. We are picking every NFL game against the spread. So far this year, we have 72 wins against the spread. I do money picks every week. I got 3 money picks for you guys this week. We started off hot this season, then kind of just flatlined. We haven't really lost any weeks, only 2 weeks under 50%. And as far as the money picks are concerned, we are 16 wins, 16 losses on the money picks. So that's where I'm going to pick it up, and that's against the spread. If you want more of my money picks, you need to subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button. It only takes half a second. 100 subscribers, and I will post my over-unders, my player props, and much more. I'll post all my bets. We have been hitting parlays this year. We've been money on the anytime touchdowns. I think there's only 2 weeks where I didn't hit my anytime touchdown pick, and that's been money for us. That's been saving us a lot of weeks. We are up 30% profit this year. We've been at 30% the past 3 weeks, but we'll pick it up. I'm not mad. If I'm not losing money, I'm not mad. So 30% profit, that's not bad. Let's keep this year going strong. 72 wins against the spread. That's what my main concern is. That's what I specialize in, is against the spread. So let's get to it. First game of week 10. We got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Denver Broncos. Broncos are minus 9.5 at home on a short week. Don't feel too confident about this pick, but I'm going to go with the Raiders to cover and the Broncos to win. I like the Raiders offense a lot better with Brock Bowers. I'm still not sold. I say this every video. I'm not sold on the Broncos offense. The Broncos haven't really been blowing out teams this year. They blew out the Cowboys. I think that was about it. They might have had one other team that they blew out this year, but most of their games have been close, and they've just been squeaking by wins. No matter how good or bad the team is, their games end up being close. I think this will be another close game. It's a division matchup. Raiders showed fight last week. They showed they could score the ball. Geno Smith, I think the spread's going to determine on if he turns the ball over or not. If Geno Smith has a clean game like he did last week, like he's capable of having, he was one of the, I believe it was a year, maybe 2 years ago, he didn't throw that many picks, so he can protect the ball. Had a really bad start this year. I think he'll clean it up a little bit. Raiders, no matter who their personnel is, no matter what their record is, they're going to play some weeks really tough, and they're going to play other weeks where they crap the bed. Any given week. It doesn't matter who they're playing. It doesn't matter what the stakes are. They'll either show up and play a tough game or be crappy. So what Raiders are we going to get this week? I think they went for it at 2 at the end of last week. I don't think it was because they were just like, oh, the season's over, it doesn't matter. It's because there was like 2 minutes left in that game, maybe 3 minutes. The chances of them getting the ball back were slim to none. And with time left and the way that game was going, yeah. So I don't really think they were giving up with that call. I think they'll play this game tough. Denver, not sold on their offense. Like I said, they don't really put up a lot of points. They're also missing Mims. That's big since Nix, he's hot and cold depending on what the quarter is. So he hasn't had a complete game yet, Bo Nix. You could say the same about Geno. Although last game he did play pretty good. 4 touchdown passes. But now they traded Jacoby Myers. He only had 3 receptions last game. He really was only making his mark on the Raiders the first 2 weeks of the season. So we'll see how their offense looks without Myers. But I don't know if we're going to see a big drop-off or a big difference. They had other players stepping up. But from what I'm hearing, losing Myers is a semi, I want to say big deal, but it means something. Then you got Sertan that's out on the defense. Bowers, I just think they're gonna keep going to Bowers. Tight ends have done good against this Denver defense. The Denver defense is slightly overrated, I think. I think they're good, but they've given up points this year on multiple occasions. So it hasn't just been a game or two fluke games. They've given up points. And with the way this Raiders offense moves the ball when they're healthy, I think they can keep it within the 9.5. And that's all I'll say for this game. I got a little bit more, but I want to keep these videos short going forward. That's just a lock. That ain't a money pick. No need to go any further. Next game, we got a game in Germany, Berlin. We got the Falcons at the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are -5.5. I saw this line move to 6.5. I'm going to go and lock in the Indianapolis Colts to win and to cover this game. The 5.5 points. I think they're going to bounce back. They had a really bad game offensively last week. 6 total turnovers and still only lost by 7 points. I don't think they're going to be turning the ball over 6 times against Atlanta. Atlanta, I'm not too confident in their offense. We know the Colts are going to score points unless they're turning the ball over 6 times. Like I said, the chances of that happening, especially 2 weeks in a row, I'm not counting on it. So I'm not worried about that happening again. Are we going to get Danny Dimes or Indiana Jones? I think we're going to get Indiana Jones. He's going to bounce back. I'm going to pay attention to that Pittman injury. I think that's huge. I think Pittman is a key piece to this offense. It's not just Jonathan Taylor, but I'll keep an eye on that. I think he did practice this week. Actually, I don't know if he did. Indianapolis, they also got a bye next week. I like picking teams before their bye. I feel like they really want to focus and get that win before the bye, especially since they lost. They definitely don't want to go into a bye on a two loss streak. So I'm pretty confident with the Colts on this one. Not put my money on it though because of their performance last week, even though I'm pretty confident it won't happen twice. They did add Sauce Gardner. I think that's actually huge. He wasn't really stepping up and doing much on the Jets, but now that he's on a team, let's see how his performance is. And they do need to step it up in the secondary. So that was a good move for the Colts. Gave up a lot for him, but I'm not worried about that. That's the future. We're picking this week, baby. Atlanta, they can't score points. Last week was an anomaly. I had them to cover that game against the Pats. They should have lost that game by more than 6. But because of a Drake May fumble, Atlanta got in there, and that's how Vegas works, baby. Let's go. Love it when you're rolling with Vegas. Always feels good. We had another pick last week where it felt like Vegas was on our side with the Bears against the Bengals. They scored that last-second fluke touchdown. That was awesome. Crappy tackling on that play, and it helped us. That gave us the cover on that one. That game was huge for us. What was I saying, though? I forget. I was talking about a Pittman injury. I think Taylor has a better run game than Bijan this game. Bijan, he hasn't, last 3 games, I think he's ran for under 50 yards or something, give or take. He hasn't been doing that good. So, yeah, not a lot of good things going for the Falcons. I doubt they can just toss it up to London all game again. That can't happen 2 weeks in a row. So, yeah, Falcons, they ain't making the playoffs this year. That's clear to me. I'm confident in that. I'd put money on it, but I barely win anything. So let's get to the next game. We got the New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are minus 5.5. This is a money pick. I'm throwing my money on this. It was just going to be a lock at first, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I should put money on this. I'm going to go with the Panthers to win and to cover the 5.5. Now, this isn't a game I'm super excited about, but I really don't see the Saints cover in this game. I could see the Panthers blowing it maybe. I'm going to key in on a Dowdle injury, going to look in on that, but I believe he'll play. We got Rattler's backup starting for the Saints. I don't think Suge's any good. Saints can't score any points. They don't score more than 2 touchdowns a game. I think Carolina's due to put up some points. Let's see what else I got for this. Panthers averaged 10 points their last 3 games, so I think they're due to start scoring points. They didn't score any points their last 2 games. Going against this New Orleans team, this is a good spot for their offense to finally put up points at home. I like this for this Carolina Panthers. Panthers D, they're good in the red zone. They're one of the best defenses in the red zone this year, and New Orleans, they don't get to the red zone. And if they do get to the red zone, they're not scoring. Obviously, they don't get more than 2 touchdowns a game, if that. I don't think they have a game this year with more than 2 touchdowns. So that's kind of, except that game they won against the Giants. But I picked them to cover that game as well, so I'm not, it's like I saw that coming. I'm not going to really read too much into that. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, Young didn't do good last game. He only had like 102 passing yards. This is a good spot for him to bounce back, but really he hasn't been having a lot of passing yards at all this year. So, yeah, Young's not the best. This could be a game where they blow it, and I regret putting my money on it, but I just don't see it happening. I think I see a scenario where I don't put my money on the game, and I look back and I'm like, man, I knew I should have put my money on that, because the Saints are trash. They just traded away Shaheed too, so it's like they're losing pieces on offense. They're not getting nothing back. Kamara's banged up as well. This team's just hurt. They need a complete rebuilding. I said since week 1 they were going to be the worst team in the league, and it looks like that. The Jets are giving them a run for their money, but the Jets have scored points this year. They've had 20-plus point games and stuff like that. So I believe the Saints are the worst team. I'm confident that going towards the end of the season, they will be the worst team. Yeah, so I can't see me picking the Saints this year unless they got a double-digit spread. So, or they're just playing a really bad team, or bad spot situation. We'll see. But right now, I'm putting my money on the Panthers. Like their defense, I don't see them letting the Saints score on them all that much. There might be backdoor potential. That's it. That's the only way I see the Saints covering this game is backdoor. If the Panthers are up like 24-13. Yeah. And the Saints just get a touchdown. And then they, it doesn't matter if they get the 2 or not. But that's really it. Anyway, next game. We got the Giants at the Chicago Bears. Bears are minus 3.5. This is another money pick for me. I'm going with the Bears to win and to cover the 3.5 points. I don't think the Giants got a lot going for them right now. Their offense is struggling without anybody to move the ball with. Dart is doing it all on his own, and that's asking a lot for a rookie. I think eventually it's just gonna catch up. It's gonna one of these games he's just gonna get punched in the face, and yeah, it might be this game for Dart. Chicago Bears, their defense though they're weak, so this could be a high scoring game. But I think ultimately the Bears can run on this Giants defense. This game, I really forgot what I have on this game, you guys. I'm sorry. This will be a break for the Bears defense. They have been playing some tough offenses lately. So I think, this will be a good spot for them to get some confidence back. They're banged up. They need to get players back and all that. But, you play with who you have. They did pretty. They didn't do good last week against the Bengals, but who does good against the Bengals? Bengals are putting up points on everybody, and the sad thing with them is the same story as last year. The other team just happens to put up more points, but and that was the Bears last week. So, yeah, they gave up 470 yards to Joe Flacco, but they normally hold QBs under 200 yards. So, and Dart had one game under over 200 yards. So I believe that this is a game where the Bears can hold Dart under 200 yards. And their run game isn't like Tracy and who's the other guy, I forget, but they're not gonna do it for the Giants. They really needed Scatabo. Yeah. And I think last week the Bears, they got that last second stop against or a last second bull crap score against the Bengals, which was an exact reverse script of last year when the Commanders got a reverse or a bull crap score against them last second. So I think that's gonna do the reverse effect it did last year. The Bears plummeted after they threw that game away, gave it to Washington, and I think they're gonna only go up from here after they got that wild win against Cincinnati last week. So let's hope I'm right with that. That's a little bit of a bold prediction, I know, but I don't think the Giants are anything to fear, especially away. Dart, I feel like as the losses, like he's got to feel a little defeated at this point. He's got no one to give the ball to. He can't do it all on his own. And every week, that's more obvious. Next game, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Houston Texans. I was back and forth on this game. Back and forth. Houston -1.5. This is the third week in a row Houston's -1.5. What's up with that? Got a losing record, and they've been favorites for 3 weeks straight. So the first week seemed like a trap. I went with Houston. They did cover. Second week, they didn't cover. So this week, do they cover? I don't think so. I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars to win and to cover this game. CJ Stroud will not be playing. They didn't make that clear yet, but I've never seen a player come back a week after they've suffered a concussion. That's not going to happen. I don't think it's ever going to happen. They're taking this concussion stuff real serious. If it does happen, they'll make a big spectacle of it, and then I'm curious to see how that plays out. If Stroud will tear it up, and it'll be like, see, nothing to worry about, and Houston shuts everybody up, or Stroud looks like shit, and then people talk shit saying he still had a concussion. That ain't going to happen, though. I don't think he's going to play at all. And I'm not confident Mills can push this offense to score and put up points. They couldn't score anything last week with him. And even with Stroud, this offense wasn't all that great, but they were looking better. They looked like they were hitting a rhythm with Stroud, and then he suffers a concussion. This is a bad spot for Houston. I think they lost Stroud at a bad time. They were going to need him for a game like this, and they're favorites. So I think that's only because they haven't made it clear that Stroud's not playing, but yeah. So I'll pay attention to this line going forward, because this might be a game I switch, but I'm gonna stick with Jacksonville. I mean, I don't have a lot of confidence in Trevor Lawrence. He's not looking that great. They won last week. He didn't even throw a single touchdown. He had an interception. Seems like most games Jags do good is because they get the run game going, not because Lawrence is throwing the ball. But now they got Jacoby Myers. We'll see if he plays week 1. I think that's a good ad for them, though. That should help the offense a lot. Got to pay attention to injuries, see if Brian Thomas Jr. is playing. He suffered an ankle injury, so we'll see what we get out of him. But right now I'm feeling confident in the Jacksonville Jaguars to cover and to win the game. I do think this will be a low-scoring game, a defensive matchup. That's kind of how it was the first time around. Jacksonville did win this matchup 17-10. That was with C.J. Stroud. But yeah, I think I feel good with the Jacksonville Jaguars to cover this spread. Do I have anything else on that? No. Alright, sorry. Next game, we got the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are plus 9.5. I'm going to go with the Bills to win and to cover this match. I'm just going to keep it simple. Buffalo's on a tear. They looked really good last week against Kansas City. Miami Dolphins, they're falling apart week by week by week. It just seems to be getting worse. They had that good win against Atlanta, but I mean, at least I knew that wasn't going to be a turnaround for their season. They were going to go back to having shitty performances, and that's just what we got last week out of Miami. I'm glad I faded them. So I've been pretty good on Miami all year, picking their games. So I think fading them here is a good spot. Buffalo beat them by 10 their first meeting, and Miami kind of stuck around. They did have Tyreek Hill that game, though, so now Miami, they lost more. They're trading away defensive pieces, and their defense is already bad. I think they traded their top sacker, but I could be wrong about that. I'm pretty positive, though. So, and their defense is already bad. Yeah, they're obviously throwing in the towel. I think Miami is. They need to get away from Tua. Tua sucks. He likes to turn the ball over. His nickname's literally Tua turn the ball over. That's not something that's gonna leave. That's gonna stick with him. And he just, he's not a team leader. They got rid of their GM. This team, there's just too much going on right now. For Miami, I think, to just focus. Too many moving pieces, all that. It's too banged up. And then you got Josh Allen. He's a Miami killer. So, this has got to be, licking his chops, gonna kick Miami while they're down. I see them just scoring fast, putting this game away early in the third quarter. It'll be over. That's the way I see this game going. I should put my money on it, honestly. Buffalo, their defense looked really good against Kansas City last week. Josh Allen, I don't really like his offensive weapon, but he spreads the ball, and he can do it. Like he's the one doing it. I don't think it really matters who he has. He's gonna get them the ball. Cook looks good. He's banged up, so I'm gonna pay attention to that injury. But if everybody's healthy, pay attention to my video that I post before 1 o'clock on Sunday. It's a YouTube short. I'll decide if I make this a money pick. As of now, I'm gonna stay away from making it a money pick, but I think it's Buffalo. It's a lock for sure to win in the cover against Miami. Next game we got the Baltimore Ravens at the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings are +4.5. Oh, they looked really good. McCarthy, that's definitely their guy, right? Well, I'm not too convinced. I'm going to go with Baltimore Ravens to win in the cover. Yeah, I think McCarthy's going to be their guy going forward. But he didn't really have a fantastic game last week. He didn't put up any fantastic numbers. They just, they came out with a win. That's what happened last week. They got some defensive turnovers and whatnot, but yeah, I don't see. Baltimore's defense has been playing really good their last few games. They haven't been giving up points. They only have 2 games this year where their defense gave up a crap ton of points. That was week 1 against the Bills, and then I forget, against the Lions. But yeah, their defense, I think, is a little underrated. They haven't been getting they've been getting a lot of flack when they haven't been giving up that many points. I don't believe they're going to give up a lot of points this matchup against the Vikings. I think they had that great game against the Lions. They're not going to keep having games like that. I think they have a lot of good players, though, so that's why I'm not going to put money on this. The Vikings could be for real. The Vikings could put up points. Their offense could move the ball. But I think I predicted a couple weeks ago, going into the bye, or before the Ravens went in the bye, that they would lose, not cover, but come out of the bye and win 6 in a row. So far, I'm right. They lost that game. They didn't cover to the Rams, and coming out of the bye, they've won 2 straight. They look pretty good. Their defense is still looking solid, so I believe that they're going to continue. They're going to go on this tear, because after their schedule looks easy 3 games after this one. This is probably going to be their toughest matchup in the next 4 weeks. So they should be focused. They should be locked in. Lamar Jackson got broken in last week. I think he comes out this week looking a lot better. And then the Vikings, their defense looked good. They got some key players back. So I think this could be a lower scoring game than people think. But ultimately, the Ravens should cover the 5. Who do the Vikings get back, though? Van Winkle, I believe, and other key players. So this should be a good matchup. I think this is actually going to be a fun game to watch. But let's go Baltimore Ravens, 4.5. Keep going on this tear. Defense, stay locked in, baby. Anything else? I'm reading the wrong game. Yeah, McCarthy doesn't play that great. He hasn't really had a great game yet this year, where he just tore it up. So he's going to need to have a game like that against the Ravens. And until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. Let's go Ravens. Next game, we got the Cleveland Browns at the New York Jets. Jets are -2.5. We got this at the opening spread. The Jets are now +2.5 with all the trades they made. Um, people think that means they're giving up, whatever, but they won going into the bye. They got that win out of the way. They don't gotta worry about finishing the season defeated. Justin Fields, though, he definitely wants to still have a job, so I think this offense is going to continue to play hard. Breece Hall wanted to get traded, so, players are going to need to perform. Nobody wants to stay on the Jets. Fields, he really only had 2 bad games this year, and that's what almost made him lose his starting job. He had a great game going into the bye. He had a great game, so we'll see how the Jets come out playing. The reason why I'm fading the Browns with the trades and all that going on with the Jets is because they are the Browns. They're still doing Brown things. They're not starting Shadur Sanders, and maybe there's a good reason why. But I never heard football channels and networks talk about a third string quarterback so much, and they're still talking about him. They're gonna still start Daniels. Daniels, obviously, to me, I think he could play in the NFL. He's good. It seems like he has some good throws. But it's obvious that once they start expecting him to really sling the ball and not just like play game manager, that he's gonna turn the ball over. So, when he's trying to force in throws because they got to score points, Cleveland's offense, they haven't been putting up a lot of points this year. I don't believe that's going to start anytime soon. I believe, what's his name? Gabriel will get benched. And, at some point this year. So, the Browns are going to still continue to look bad, so Shador can get his shot. And I believe that might happen after this week, because if they lose to the Jets, are you going to not do anything or change anything around? Browns defense is getting tired of losing all the time. Myles Garrett doesn't sound like he wants to play with the Browns anymore. So he says he wants to win. And that's never going to happen if you play for the Browns, the Jets, the Raiders. That might be it. Yeah. Yeah. Those teams, they're just never good. So, right now, this might be a game I switch. There's 3 games I might switch this week. The first one with Jacksonville at Houston. The second one is Cleveland at Jets, so I might switch this. But right now, I just feel like the Browns are gonna find a way to just fuck it all up. So, the Jets defense played pretty good. I think 2 or 3 games before they went into their bye, they played pretty solid defense. They didn't give up a lot of points. I believe, even with the trades and stuff, Gardner was never really a big part of that defense. And the guy that stepped up for him, I believe his name was Wilson. I forget, but I remember he was doing really good. Yeah. So, I still feel good about the Jets defense. They traded away 2 key players, but let's just see how bad the Browns look this week, I guess. I'm just really counting on the Browns to have a bad game and for Justin Fields and the offense to be able to score points, because they can score points. They had 2 bad games this year on offense, really. The rest they were able to put up points. So that's what I'm going for as of now. Next game, we got the New England Patriots, my Patriots, at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucks are -2.5. I'm gonna go with the Bucks to win and to cover. That spread is fishy. Why aren't the Pats favored? They won 6 in a row. Albeit not against the best teams. They had 1 really good win against Buffalo, and so far, that's about it. You know, all the other teams they face. I should have checked this, but I believe they all have losing records. So, that they beat anyway. Because Pittsburgh doesn't have a losing record, but they lost to Pittsburgh. But anyway, I think they're going to lose this game. They won 6 in a row. They need a bye week, too. They haven't had a bye yet. They're starting to look like they're showing a little bit of fatigue. Last week, the Falcons should have not hung around that game the way they did. Yeah, I don't know, man. Mayfield's a gunslinger, and if there's one way to attack this Patriots defense, it's through the air like that. And the way Mayfield slings the ball, I think that's what's gonna happen. I got an odd feeling that this might be the first game running back runs for over 50 yards against New England. I don't know why. I don't think White's the best or anywhere close to it, but I just think like the Buccaneers are gonna move the ball, man, on offense. They're coming off a bye. They're gonna be ready to go. They've been preparing for this for 2 weeks. New England, they're a great team. They could win this game. They could cover the spread. I'm not doubting that. That's why I can't put money on it. But I just really feel like this is a game for Tampa Bay to win. New England and Buffalo will be tied. New England will be up by half a game, but yeah. I just other than that, I think this might be the game of the week. I mean, I'm saying this as a Pats fan. I only got 2 Pats games wrong this year. The first one I got wrong was week 1 against the Raiders, and I only picked them by default because I'm a Pats fan. I didn't think they were going to cover that game, but I did pick them, so I'm still going to say 2 games wrong. I only got 2 games wrong with the Pats this year. I want to keep it that way. The spread is just fishy, and whenever I fade fishy spreads and I don't take the bait, I don't regret it. I don't think there's been one time this year where I said, "Oh, that's a trap," and I faded it and I was wrong about it. This could be the first. Anytime could be the first going forward. But I'm gonna keep going with that. It's working, and I do feel good about it. Like I said, with Baker Mayfield throwing the ball, and this Bucs defense too, they can turn the ball over, get takeaways, and get after the quarterback. Drake May's been sacked a lot, or not a lot, but quite a bit the past few games. So let's go Tampa Bay -2.5, baby. Let's get this cover. Also, before I get to the next game, I just want to go back to the Jets and the Browns. Usually, the Jets started at -2.5, and now they're at +2.5. Usually, when a spread swaps and moves that much, I switch to the other team because I'm like, I gotta take the value, and I always regret it. So that's another reason why I kind of want to stay on the Jets this week. Still might change that pick, but Alright, so Tampa Bay -2.5. Now, 4 o'clock games. Let's get it. We got the Arizona Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are -6.5. I'm going to go with the Seahawks to win and to cover here. Jacoby Brissett is starting. Finally, they got rid of Murray. That worries me a little bit, but let's remember, this happened, was it just a year ago? I believe it was last year when he was on the Colts with Trent Richardson. He got benched because the team just didn't look good whenever he was in there. For the same reason, Brissett came in. They looked better with Brissett, but then overall, ultimately, they end up dropping him, getting rid of him after the end of the year is over because he's just not the guy. He's not going to be the guy for any team. He's great at coming in and filling in here and there. He's a good fill-inner, but he's not gonna consistently win games. He's a game manager. He'll give your team a chance, but if you ask him to start all year, don't depend on your team to have a great record, is all I'm saying. Um, I think he's very 50-50, you know? He's going to win half his games, he's going to lose half of them. I believe he is a winning quarterback at the moment. I didn't look up his record. I should have, now that he is officially starting. That's important, so that's something I still have time to look into. But right now, Seattle's just tearing it up. Also, Arizona, I don't think has a run game. And the Seattle defense, they're going to be able to eat Brissett alive, I believe. This is going to be a game where Brissett doesn't look too good. Maybe he doesn't turn the ball over, but when the game starts getting out of hand and he's forced to try to catch up, maybe we might see some Jacoby Brissett turnovers. But he always finds a way to play, doesn't he? Every year we see this guy playing, and I gotta pick for or against him. This week I'm picking against him. The Seattle Seahawks just look way too good. They got a top tier defense. It's between them and Houston right now. Who's the better defense? And in my opinion, I don't know. Like, if Seattle wasn't scoring so much, would their defense be giving up as many points? Who knows? But right now, I like Seattle's defense to eat this Cardinals offense alive. Seattle just got Shaheed. I might make him my anytime touchdown this week. I don't know why I feel really good about that. They needed another key player on this offense to catch the ball, and now they got it. So I think that's huge. Darnold's just playing out of his mind. He has been since last year. The Seattle team's on a tear. And, I believe they're going to look really good. I forget who they play next week, but that might be when I fade Seattle. Because, yeah. The first time they played, Seattle won. The spread was only a half a point. It was a pick'em, and now it's moved to 6.5. Yeah, it's just, I'm not gonna be sold on Brissett. He'd be the only reason why I picked the Cardinals, and I can't do that. Seattle's just got way too much on offense, way too much on defense. They should run over the Cardinals. I don't believe this is any sort of trap game. So, did I mention Sam Darnold's playing out of his mind? Both these teams cover their last 3 games. Arizona's covered the last 3. Seattle's covered the last 3. So something's got to give. And I think Arizona covering the last 3, like everybody thinks they should be better. I don't think they should even be hanging in these games. I think the exact opposite. And I think this is when we're finally going to see it. This is when I'm finally going to be right. And Arizona just gets squashed. So, yeah. Seattle's going to cover 4 in a row. And if Seattle covers this, I believe I might fade them next week. Depending on what the spread is. Depending on who they play. I should have paid attention to that. But, yeah. Let's go, Seattle. Next game, we got the Los Angeles Rams at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are plus 3.5. This game is another game I might swap. This is the third game I might swap. The rest of them will be locks or money picks. And this is the other 2 I mentioned. I'm pretty set on the Jaguars, and I'm pretty set on the Jets. This one, I'm not so set on the team I picked. But right now I got the San Francisco 49ers to cover the 3.5. And I believe the Rams will pull off the win. This was a field goal game last time. I believe it might be a field goal game again this time. But the Niners, with all their injuries, I just think that's going to be what gets them at the end. I think it'll be a hard-fought game. It always is between these two. It's going to be a chess match of a game between the coaching. There are a lot of good coaches in this game. And that's honestly what I feel is going to happen. last week I regretted not picking teams where I, like, in my gut I felt like Carolina was going to hang in there with the Packers. I think they were going to win. No, but I knew it was going to be a close. Packers were just not going to play good type of game. And I didn't do it. I didn't pull the trigger. I thought Tennessee was going to stick around with the Chargers, and they did. And the Chargers won that game, but they didn't cover. And I regret not picking the Titans. It's like I knew that was going to happen. I'm not making that mistake anymore this year. I got 72 wins against the spread, and I feel like it should be a lot more because of these mistakes that I'm making, and I got to stop making those mistakes. So, as much as I'm going back and forth on this game, I think I might ultimately just stick with the Niners. Because I feel like the Rams are the easy pick here. But, you got to think of how this always a close matchup. The Rams could still win, but not cover. I think that hook is going to matter in this game. Rams got a lot on offense. Niners are due to get an interception. Stafford only has 2 interceptions. I think he's due to throw a couple. He's been killing it this year, but Matt Stafford's been in the league a long time. I don't think it's going to be his best year ever. It could be. He's got a lot of good players. With Nakua, Adams, this could be his best receiving core he's ever played with. This one's tough for me, but I think I just see a close game. Maybe San Francisco gets up early and this ends up being an easy cover for them. Like they score first. San Francisco score first. This could be an easy cover. And they are at home, and these teams have the same record, so whoever wins this game is gonna be, tied for first right now. Seattle, Rams, and Niners all have the same amount of wins in 6. So this one's tough. Who's it gonna be? You would want to think the Rams, and that's what I want to think. It's gonna be the Rams because the Niners are all banged up. The Rams are the better team. I thought they were gonna win the division. I still think they're gonna win the division, and then that's when I always, kick myself in the ass, like, because I can't use that as my reasoning. It's gonna be a close game, and like I said, the Rams could still win the game, win the division, all that, and not cover. So I'm gonna go with the Niners here, as of now, to cover the spread 3.5, and I'm gonna go Rams to win. Next game is a money pick, my last money pick of the week. We got the Detroit Lions at the Washington Commanders. Commanders are plus 8.5. I'm gonna go with the Detroit Lions to win and to cover. It's easy. Commanders are banged up on defense. They're banged up on offense. They're missing a lot of key players. Jaden Daniels being one of them. He's going to be out for a long time. Mariota is not just expected to step in for a game or two here. I think that's going to put more pressure on him, even though he's a vet. He's been in the league for a while. He's had a lot of good ball games, but they're way too banged up. They lost a key defensive player in Lattimore. I think Quinn's a little shooken up about his decision of not taking Daniels out. And he might, come into this game a little bit too cautious or not pull the trigger on a lot of things that he would normally pull the trigger on. And all that's for Washington. I just don't think they have what it takes this game to put up points. Their defense hasn't looked too good, and now they're losing players on defense. This isn't a loss where they're gonna, all right, let's band together and win it for our boys. No, this is a loss where they're like, fuck, I hope we can keep it close, hold it together, or at least give ourselves a fighting chance. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's gonna be the mindset. Then you got the Detroit Lions. They just came off of an upset loss. They lost to the Vikings. They shouldn't have lost to the Vikings. They're way better than the Vikings. Even though the Vikings got a lot of talent, I just right now, the way the season looks, they should have beat the Vikings. And it didn't happen. We lost money on that last week. Not mad about it because I wasn't too confident about that pick. I did see a scenario where somehow the Lions let us down. But when they lose, they come back fighting, and that's not going to stop. And then I believe Washington knocked them out of the playoffs last year. So you add that to it, the Lions are going to come in here looking for blood. I believe they're if they get a lead early, they're not gonna stop. If they put up 60 points, they're not gonna stop. Like Dan Campbell, he plays with a chip on his shoulder, or coaches with a chip on his shoulder, and I believe he's petty and he makes things personal, and he'll never admit it. But yeah, that's a hard nosed guy. Uh, bully ball type of guy. I think that's how he's gonna approach this game, and the Lions are gonna come in and pull some shit out of their ass that we haven't seen, and just dominate. I think this is an easy money pick. This is my favorite pick of the week, actually. I don't know why Washington isn't, and I don't think it's a trap because it's plus 8.5. But yeah, I don't know why Washington isn't getting more points. Anyway, next game, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are minus 2.5. I'm locking in. This is Saturday and Monday. I barely go into analysis because those games are so late into the week. And we got a long way to go with injury and all that. But right now I'm feeling the Pittsburgh Steelers to win and to cover the 2.5 points. I think the Chargers, they don't have Joe Alt, and we saw what the offense looks like before that. Wasn't too high on the offense on those weeks. And now I'm back to thinking like that. I'm not really too confident in this Chargers offense. The Steelers defense stepped it up last week. Do I think they're going to play like that every week going forward? No, I do not. But I think this is a good chance for them to continue that, have a good little defensive streak going. And Rodgers is playing to win. You could tell. This isn't like when he was on the Jets or, but anybody on the Jets, they just look bad, or like it's always a letdown, and that's what he did on the Jets a lot. We got let down, and it wasn't because he was playing bad, and he's not playing bad at all this year either. He's playing great actually, and he's playing to win. Did I say that? So he's starting to connect with other receivers, starting to spread the ball around a little bit more. Didn't really get a run game going. I think the run game was going to continue to be an issue for the Steelers, but they're going to keep pounding the rock. They're not going to stop. They're going to stay true to the run. Rodgers going to keep slinging it. Give this man his smelling salts and let him throw the fucking rock. And I'll fucking, I'll pick the Steelers every time. I've been doing bad picking the Steelers this year, but I think that's going to turn around. Then you got the Chargers, who, they just, nothing really to talk about. They got offensive weapons. I like McConkey. I like their receivers and Allen, but he's old, just old reliable. And they got Gaskins, the tight end that's stepping it up. So they could be a problem for the Steelers defense. I do think this game goes over the total. But I just think Rodgers is going to be locked in from here on out going forward in the season. They have the top spot in that league. Rodgers pays attention to everything. I'm sure he knows Ravens has an easy as hell schedule coming up. That Bengals could still put up a shit ton of points. They ain't gonna give up. That he needs to stay on top of this, and this is an easy week for him to get a win. It should be easy. Chargers are a good team. They got a good defense, but right now They're banged up. They're a wounded dog. So that means they got fight in them. They could win this game, pull something off. Steelers defense proved that any team can really score on them this year. But we're getting in the second half of the year where teams that are gonna be in the playoffs gotta start playing like they're in the playoffs, entering in this playoff mode. And the Steelers, they got a lot to work on. So if they're gonna make the playoffs, which I think they will, and I think they know they will because they're leading the league right now, they're gonna have to start tightening up and fixing some things, which I believe they started last week. They beat the freaking Colts. I called that. I didn't know if they were going to win, but I definitely picked them to cover. I knew they were going to find a way to cover, but they found a way to win. So, against the Colts, 6 takeaways against the Colts. Their defense played out of their mind, but 6 takeaways, and then they still give up 20 points. That's not too bad. If they don't get those takeaways, though, how many points do they end up giving up? So the defense, minus those takeaways, which you can't really take away the takeaways, but you know what I mean. They probably still gave up a lot of yards. But anyway. Yeah. Talking on that game too much. Pittsburgh Steelers to win and to cover. And that fan base travels well, so it doesn't matter if Steelers are away anymore. Last game, Monday night. This video went too long again. Always happens. We got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Green Bay Packers. Packers are minus 2.5. That is another fishy spread. There's quite a few fishy spreads this week. That one caught my attention first. Packers minus 2.5 against the defending champs. Eagles have a better record. Eagles have been looking better this year with all what's going on with the Eagles. They still, in my opinion, been looking way better than the Packers. The Packers are hot and cold. Eagles at least look somewhat consistent. Anyway, they got the better record. Packers just lost. They lost to the Browns. They lost to the Panthers. And they're favored here. So I'm going to go with the Packers. Minus 2.5. Jordan Love does play out of his mind this year in primetime. He looked really good in primetime games this year so far. So maybe we get that again. This game's all the way Monday. I don't really know what else to say other than I really like the Packers because the spread is suspicious. And if this week goes as planned, I'm going to like it even more. Because the more I'm right, the more I'm confident. And I'm pretty confident with 72 wins on the year. That's it. I mean, the 3 money picks this week, we're picking the Panthers, but only because they're going against the Saints. So we got money on the Panthers. We got money on the Bears. And we got money on the Lions. And I also want to put money on the Bills, but I didn't not pull that trigger yet. So we're still at 3 money picks. If you stuck around this long, you are a true Schmidt head. Good luck to everybody this week. If you bet money on these games, please bet responsibly. I'm only betting 1%. I have a betting account. I bet 1% for all these bets. All right? I'm not betting money that I can't afford to lose. Good luck this week, everyone. Peace.